Do you ever feel stuck in a never-ending cycle of clutter? Have you been trying to declutter your home for years without success? Today, we're going to bust 7 myths that are holding you back from having an organized home. If you feel like this process never ends, today you'll discover why. It doesn't matter if you live in a small apartment or a large house, if you have a hard time letting go of things, or if you failed many times before. I guarantee that after this video you'll see home organization in a new light and understand that having a tidy space is within your reach without becoming an extreme minimalist. Have you ever thought that decluttering is only for minimalists? If so, you're not alone. This is precisely the first myth we're going to debunk today because it's stopping you from taking that first step towards a more organized and functional space. Myth 1 is believing that decluttering is exclusively for minimalists. Many people get stuck thinking they have to completely empty their house to call it decluttering. The reality is that decluttering is for anyone who wants to improve their space and make the most of what they have. As an expert on the subject says, it's normal to suddenly find ourselves with things we don't need or that don't add value to our lives. This perspective helps us understand that decluttering is simply identifying what no longer serves us without having to become an extreme minimalist. You don't need to transform into someone who lives with the bare minimum to benefit from this process. Now let's move on to the next myth. Myth 2 is believing that decluttering is a never-ending process. This thought is especially demotivating when you're starting out because it makes you feel like you're embarking on an endless task. The truth is that the initial decluttering has a definite end. What comes next is simply maintenance, just like any other positive habit in your life, like brushing your teeth or exercising. It's not an eternal burden, but a practice that becomes easier over time. Once you've decluttered your main spaces, you only need to dedicate small moments to maintain that order. Myth 3. Perhaps the most paralyzing is thinking that you have to wait for the perfect time to start. This is the classic myth of procrastination. I'll start when I have a whole weekend free, or I'll do it during my vacation. The reality is that the best time is now, even if it's with something small. You don't need a huge block of time or perfect conditions. You can start with a simple drawer, a shelf, or even just your nightstand. These small steps generate a sense of accomplishment that will motivate you to continue. Did you know that living in tidy spaces directly benefits your mental health? Research shows that clutter raises levels of cortisol, the stress hormone, while an organized space allows for better concentration and reduces anxiety. The mental load that clutter causes is not imaginary. It is a scientifically proven reality that affects your well-being every day. One shocking fact: people lose an average of 2.5 days a year looking for things they can't find, and 33% of those items never turn up. Imagine getting that time back just by having a more organized space. Decluttering not only improves your physical space but also positively impacts your emotional and mental life. By overcoming these 3 destructive myths, you will eliminate the biggest mental barrier to starting your decluttering process. You will feel an immediate sense of control over your space and, by extension, over your life. Each small step will bring you closer to a home that works better for you, regardless of how much you decide to keep. The key is to understand that there is no single standard for decluttering. It's not about following strict rules imposed by minimalism gurus, but about creating a space that works for you, that improves your quality of life and reflects your personal values and priorities. If you're enjoying the video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more videos. Let's continue. And speaking of creating a space that reflects your values, have you ever found yourself stuck in front of an item thinking, "But I use it every now and then"? This common dilemma hides a mental trap that's sabotaging all your efforts to simplify your life. Imagine Eleanor, standing in front of her full closet, holding a blouse she hasn't worn in months, but doesn't dare to let go of just in case. Like her, many of us get caught up in these dilemmas that make our simplification process difficult. Let's unmask some myths that have surely made you doubt yourself. The first one is especially tricky. The idea that decluttering is measured by quantity. You've probably seen videos where people brag about having gotten rid of hundreds of objects, turning it all into a competition. It's like believing that a diet is successful just because you eat less, when in reality, the quality of what you consume matters more. Effective decluttering is measured by the purpose of what you keep, not by how much you throw away. The real goal is to create a space where each object has concrete value for you and your current life. Another paralyzing myth is the fear of regret. This fear can be so strong that many people prefer to live surrounded by unnecessary things rather than face the possibility of missing something. Science has shown that this fear is connected to feelings of guilt that complicate the entire process. The comforting truth is that the benefits obtained far outweigh that occasional regret. Most people who have completed decluttering processes report that this feeling of freedom more than makes up for any doubts, and many objects are replaceable if you really need them later on. The third myth is perhaps the most subtle. If something is used, it should not be decluttered. It's like keeping a dull knife in your kitchen just because it's in the drawer and you occasionally use it, when in reality, it complicates your life every time you try to cut something with it. Frequency of use is just one of several important criteria. Ask yourself also, does this object make my life easier or more complicated? Do I enjoy using it, or do I do it out of habit? Does it reflect my current values? A mug that you use daily but hate to see every morning deserves to be evaluated as much as that ornament that you only use on special occasions. This trap of, I use it, therefore I need it, confuses presence with necessity. We use many objects simply because they are available, not because we have consciously chosen them. The emotional weight of keeping unnecessary things directly affects your well-being. Studies have confirmed that the psychological burden of clutter can aggravate problems such as anxiety and depression. It's a matter of emotional health, not just aesthetics. Maria's case illustrates this perfectly. She kept 20 shirts, all in use because she rotated them. Upon closer examination, she discovered that 6 were uncomfortable, 5 no longer reflected her style, and 3 were worn out. By keeping only the ones she really enjoyed wearing, she not only freed up physical space, but also eliminated that little daily frustration of getting dressed every morning. True freedom lies in surrounding yourself exclusively with what adds value to your life today, not in accumulating just in case or out of habit. If you're enjoying the video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more videos. Let's continue. So beyond Maria's story and her organized closet, we've already seen how tidiness improves our productivity, well-being, and how we use our time. Now let's tackle the 7th and final myth, the idea that a decluttered space looks cold and impersonal. This fear is perhaps the most common one when we think about getting rid of stuff. This myth could be summed up like this. Decluttering will transform your home into an impersonal, sterile space without a soul. It's like a crowded art gallery where so many pieces compete with each other that none of them get your full attention. You've probably seen photos of minimalist homes in magazines that look like showrooms, without a single element that reflects who lives there. The truth is completely different. A decluttered space can actually highlight your personality much better. When you eliminate the unnecessary, what's left stands out more strongly. Imagine a wall full of 20 different photos. None of them really grab your attention. Now imagine that same wall with only 3 meaningful, well-framed photos. Suddenly, those pictures take center stage and tell a more powerful story about you. The warmth of a home isn't determined by the number of objects, but by the colors, textures, and elements you choose to keep. A sofa with 2 carefully chosen cushions can create more warmth than 10 cushions that don't match. Plants, the right lighting, and meaningful objects create that cozy atmosphere we all crave. Did you know that clutter can affect your personal relationships? Peter and Lucia, a couple from Madrid, were on the verge of separation because clutter was causing constant arguments. We couldn't invite friends over without spending hours cleaning frantically, Peter told me. After implementing an organization system, the tension decreased and they were able to enjoy their time together more. Clutter creates an invisible burden on relationships. It causes arguments about who should clean what, frustrations when we can't find something important, and embarrassment with unexpected guests. A tidy space makes it easier to live together and reduces these everyday conflicts. Visual clutter literally competes for our brain's attention. When you're surrounded by lots of objects, your brain has to constantly process all those stimuli. Research from Princeton University confirmed it. This reduces your ability to focus on important tasks. That's why it's so hard to work at a messy desk, and you feel calmer after tidying up. There are also surprising financial benefits. By decluttering, you become more aware of what you need Eleanor, a follower of the channel, wrote to me, "After organizing my closet, I realized I had 5 almost identical black coats. Now, before I buy something, I ask myself if I really need it." Many objects that you no longer use can be turned into extra income. Carlos sold his old video game collection for over 500 euros, money he invested in experiences instead of more stuff. To get started without feeling overwhelmed, try the 10-minute daily technique. Dedicate just 10 minutes to tidying up a small area. This technique works because anyone can find 10 minutes in their day, and small steps create a snowball effect. Another simple technique is the one in, one out rule. Every time you buy something new, get rid of something similar. This practice maintains balance in your space and makes you think before adding more things to your life. If you're enjoying the video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more videos. Let's continue. And speaking of the time it takes for this process, did you know that decluttering can take anywhere from a few hours to several weeks, depending on how much you have and how quickly you make decisions? Remember, every little step counts. To keep your space organized in the long run, here are 2 practical tips that work. The 2-minute rule. If a task takes less than 2 minutes, do it right away. Assign a specific place for everything in your home. Have you started your decluttering process yet? Share with us in the comments how long it took you to organize a space and how it has improved your quality of life. Your experience could inspire many others on this journey.